All right, let's take a look at practice timed quiz number 4 this time. So our first problem is secant of 180. So remember that 180 is one of our quadrantal angles. So that is the same thing as pi, and that coordinate point is -1, 0. Now secant is the reciprocal of cosine, and cosine is x. The x coordinate of our point is -1, which is technically over 1. So for secant, we're going to flip that over, and we get 1 over -1, which is still -1. Number 3, we have cosine of 150. So 150 is going to be in our second quadrant. So we draw our reference triangle. And if this is 150 and this is 180, then there is a difference of 30 degrees between the two. Therefore, our reference angle is 30 degrees. Across from 30 degrees is 1/2, and that means the other side would be square root of 3 over 2. Now, this is the second quadrant, which means the x is negative and the y is positive. Now, cosine is simply x, and our x is negative square root of 3 over 2. Okay, number 5, tangent of 0. Well, 0 is obviously one of the quadrantal angles, and that coordinate point is going to be 1, 0. Now we want tangent, which is y over x. So the y coordinate is 0, and the x coordinate is 1, and 0 divided by anything is 0. All right, number 7, tangent of 315. So 315 degrees is in the fourth quadrant. And if this is 315 degrees, this is 360 degrees, then that means we have a 45-degree reference angle. Therefore, both sides are going to be the square root of 2 over 2. But in the fourth quadrant, the x is positive, the y is negative. Now for tangent, we want y over x, and since both x and y are some version of square root of 2 over 2, that means that we know our answer is going to be some version of 1, because we divide something by itself, we get 1. Now we have a negative divided by a positive, which gives me a negative, and then that would be 1. All right, number 9, cosecant of 150. So 150 is in our second quadrant, and we have our 30-degree reference angle again, which means across from 30 is 1/2, the other side is square root of 3 over 2. Now cosecant, remember, is the reciprocal of sine, and sine is simply the y value. So our y value is 1/2, and we want the reciprocal, which would be 2 over 1, or simply 2. And technically, this should have been negative, but that didn't factor into this problem, thankfully, because we were looking at y, not x. Okay, so number 2. 2 pi over 3 is going to be in our second quadrant. And our reference angle is going to be 60 because it's over 3. So across from 60 is the square root of 3 over 2. The other side has to be 1/2, but the 1/2 has to be negative. Cosecant is the reciprocal of sine, and sine is y. So our y value is square root of 3 over 2. We want the reciprocal of that, which is going to be 2 over the square root of 3, and then we have to rationalize that, which would be 2 square root of 3 over 3. Alrighty, number 4. 5 pi over 3 is in the fourth quadrant. And if we have something over 3, that means our reference angle is 60 degrees. Across from 60 degrees is square root of 3 over 2, which means the other side is 1/2. The fourth quadrant, x is positive, y is negative. Cosecant is the reciprocal of sine. sign is y, and our y value is negative square root of 3 over 2. So the reciprocal would be negative 2 over square root of 3. Rationalized is negative 2 square root of 3 over 3. So basically the same thing as in number 2, except we have a negative this time. All right, number 6, 3 pi over 4. That is going to be in the second quadrant. And since it is over 4, that means our reference angle has to be 45 degrees. And the sides of those are going to be the square root of 2 over 2 for both of them. However, it is in the second quadrant, which means x is negative, y is positive. Now we want sine, which is simply the y value, and our y is positive, square root of 2 over 2. All right, number 8, 3 pi over 2. That is one of our quadrantal angles. That's the same as 270 degrees. So that is down here at the bottom, and that coordinate point is 0, negative 1. Now we want cosine, and cosine is simply the x value, and our x is 0. So there's our answer. And then our last one, number 10, 11 pi over 6, is in the fourth quadrant because that's almost a full 2 pi. Not quite, but almost. So we have our triangle. Because it's over 6, that means our reference angle is 30. Across from 30 is 1/2, and the other side is square root of 3 over 2. Fourth quadrant has x positive and y negative. Now we want cotangent this time, which is x over y. And again, these are both over 2, which means I don't really need the 2's. So the x would be square root of 3. The y would be our negative 1, and that simplifies to just be a negative square root of 3. All right, so that is practice timed quiz number 4.